I'm David Pyle, your Executive Secretary and Treasurer. And I'm louder? Well, let's see. How about now? Well, is it good enough? And my first job is to give you a brief report on the status of the association. The association's financial position remains sound, with our net worth remaining constant year to year despite a 12.5% unrealized capital loss. No big surprise, I guess. This capital loss was offset by an increase in operating income due to an increase in subscription income and a decrease in some expenses. Our partner in publishing is Wiley Blackwell, and they do continue to do an excellent job in controlling the journal's production and distribution expenses, which in fact went down in fiscal 2007-2008 in both cases. We have relationships with a number of service suppliers, and those relationships in general remain good too. Contracts were renewed with Berkeley Electronic Press for the online Journal of Finance submission system, and with SSRN for the online program submission system. And with that report, I turn the microphone over to our president, Jeremy Stein.
Okay. First things first, I'd like to thank David Pyle. One of the real pleasures for me over the last 3 years has been the chance to get to know David, to work with him, and to have a close-up view of the really remarkable stuff he does on behalf of the AFA. So it's been really something to see. So David, thank you very much on my behalf. Okay, so the first thing for me to do is to report to you the results of our elections. The incoming president is going to be Darrell Duffie. The new president-elect is John Cochrane, and the vice president will be Raghu Rajan. We also have 3 new board members, Harrison Hong, Monica Pietzesi, and Mike Weisbeck. On behalf of all of us, I'd like to thank the board members who served and whose terms are ending. Those are Kent Daniel, John Graham, Rick Green, and David Sharfstein. Okay, and I'd also like to thank the nominating committee, many of whom worked with me to help put together the slate. Okay. Next little bit of business, I'd like to congratulate Dick Thaler, who was elected by the AFA Fellows to be the newest member of the AFA Fellows. So, Dick, if you're out there, congratulations. Let's see. A bit of news from the Journal of Finance. The board has reappointed Cam Harvey to a second 3-year term as editor of the JF. His term will now run from July 09 to June 12. Just by way of background, this is not a surprise. This was essentially a pro forma reappointment. Cam's initial understanding when he came on 3 years ago was that he would do 3 years, and if all was going well, would be renewed again. This was essentially, I think, an escape valve for him if it wasn't going well, and we're delighted that he decided not to escape through the escape valve. So Cam's going to be on for another 3 years, and I'd like to thank Cam for his service, and John Graham as well, who's been serving as co-editor. So thanks, John. A couple other notes. Steve Buser continues to serve as the historian for the AFA, and Marty Gruber continues to serve as a representative to the NBER. So just extend our gratitude to them as well. Okay. And one last little note of thanks. I don't know if any of you saw this. Option Metrics is sponsoring our coffee breaks this year. So thank you to Option Metrics for those of you who are coffee drinkers. Okay, that's it, and I'm going to turn it over to Darrell Duffie to give his program report.
Thanks, Jeremy. This is going to be very brief. I hope you're enjoying our program. It continues through tomorrow. We have 56 sessions this year, which is 9 more than last year, thanks to the efforts of David Pyle, who I also want to thank for his continuing efforts to make this a great program. And I want to thank my predecessor, Jeremy Stein, just as he thanked his predecessor, Ken French, and so on, for assistance in getting this program going. We had 1,377 submissions for this conference, 11% more than last year, which was also a record. The acceptance rate is 14%, which means that this is a very high-quality program. Our program committee was remarkable. Great service. I think you'll all agree that the program that you're seeing is of very high quality, and it's thanks to their efforts. They select the program. I merely select them. I think you'll also note, if you look down the list of the program committee, that the session chairs are very representative of the association in many dimensions. I have nothing more to report, except I'm going to introduce John Cochrane.
I'm here to report on our student travel grant program. The one good thing we could figure out to do with the money generated by the association is to pay $1,500 each to 120 graduate students to come attend these meetings. And I'm also here to advertise this program. The idea is this is not for students on the market. This is typically students in their second year. And so they get to come. We also organized a reception and a panel discussion. And I want to thank, Jeremy, Ken French, and Darrell, who joined me on that. We provided fatherly advice back and forth, and then a pleasant beer with our 120 PhD students. Let me encourage you to send in applications for this next year. I think it's a very worthwhile program. So far seems to be quite well received. And that's all I have to say about it. And let me introduce Cam Harvey, our Journal of Finance editor. I'm reminded that I should ask the students to stand. Could you stand and be recognized and let us say hello?
Let me report on the Journal of Finance in 2008. The first thing is that what was published in 2008 was largely little to do with me. More than 75% of the papers were Rob Stambaugh's paper, and actually there was one paper that Rick Green edited that appeared in 2008. So thank you to them for 2008. Let me go through a few statistics and then get to the awards, but before I do that, I just want to recognize the incredible hard work of the editorial team. John Graham, in particular, as co-editor, is really invaluable to the running of the journal. And the associate editors have continued to provide outstanding work on a very timely basis. And, of course, the referees. You take the time to evaluate the paper. It's obvious that a lot of time goes into it, and it really helps the quality of the research that's published in the journal. Finally, Wendy Washburn, the editorial assistant, who's doing just a huge amount of stuff in the background, and she really allows me to spend almost all of my time on reading papers, which is great. And this job is really, even though it seems like a lot of work, it's really enjoyable in that I get to read most of the time and very little administrative stuff. So that's the Journal of Finance. Let me show you some statistics. Basically, the submissions are slightly down, 27 new submissions down, and resubmissions and total submissions are slightly down, but a very large paper flow. Over 1,200 papers come in electronically that we deal with. The turnaround time has continued to improve. So the median turnaround time is now 38 days. Last year it was 40. The year before was about 47. So we're working on that turnaround time. It is a bit of a bimodal distribution, as I pointed out last year, in that some people, unfortunately, take a long time to do the review. And also, I will have a queue of papers to read, and sometimes I get behind also. The probability of a first-round R&R is about 8%, slightly down from last year. I also provide measures of citations in the editor's report now, and the Journal of Finance continues to do very well in terms of citations. It places in the top 5 of all economics journals, just behind the Journal of Political Economy and slightly ahead of QJE. And in terms of impact factor, again, we're number 4, and that first one is not JPL, it's JPE. So we do fairly well in terms of the way that we impact the economics and all the social science literatures. So let me talk about the fun part of what I have to do, and this is the best papers. And actually, before I go to the Brattle Award and the Smith-Breeden prizes, which are the AFA awards, I would like to recognize a non-AFA award that was recently announced, and I'm sure you got an email or saw the posting for it. And that is the Stephen Ross Prize, which basically recognizes a great paper that's been published in the last 15 years. And I'm pleased to say that a paper published in the Journal of Finance in 1994 won the $100,000 prize. And that's Hayne Leyland's paper. And I'm not sure he's here, but let's give him a round of applause anyway.